So hello, my name is David, as a lot of you know, and I've had this topic on the back of my mind for a long time, like the school system. Like I've always wanted to talk about it. It's just so shit. And now that I'm starting college, it's just worse. It's just dumb. The entire school system is nothing has changed, and I'm sure a lot of people can agree with me, with what I'm about to say, Like we start off in kindergarten, it's cool and all, we don't know much, we're just exploring, as we go on through life. And then, we reach elementary, we're forced to take classes. And it's understandable, don't get me wrong. In high school, I asked the teacher, why are we taking all these classes when like a majority of us don't even like any of them? And what she said was reasonable, it was understandable. She said that it's in order to open you up to like different careers, different ideas. Maybe you don't know what you want to do. Maybe you like one subject like history or math, languages, French, whatever you want to major in French. I don't know, something, translating, whatever and whatnot. So it's understandable, but to high school, we're forced to take these classes, right? But in the end of the day, like we're always really not going to care for a certain amount of classes. We may have a favorite subject. Let's say like in middle school, we have English as our favorite subject. Yes. That's gonna be the only class we focus on. If we don't like math, we're not gonna give a shit about. We're either gonna cheat or just help each other, not really understand it. We just want to get it done, get it out, give me the grade. That's it. It's understandable. That's just how it is. And they may switch again. That person who liked English, they may not like English in the future, and they may switch to liking math, and they will not care about English anymore, and they will most likely forget what they even learned throughout that entire year or the entire day or however be it. Most likely they're gonna forget in a year. Most likely, you're not even gonna forget when you go into the next grade. Like that's dumb. I never understood that. We're always gonna like one class. We're not gonna care for most. Maybe you like two different subjects. That's understandable. It's up to you. It depends on the person. But the average person, like the most of the people who go to school, generally don't even care for any subject, or they only care for one. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people can agree with that. So it's understandable. Middle school, we don't have much control yet. We're thrown in. We're still learning as to different ideas and beliefs and philosophies and different things that we want to maybe explore into, and that's the teachers are exposing us to it. But then you reach high school, you're kind of maturing now, you're pretty old now, you're getting to 14. It's not old, but you start thinking, you start being curious and all that. Maybe you like doing a hobby, maybe you want to start a clothing line, or you think it's really cool, to, I don't know, draw. Like I draw personally, it's really cool actually, but some people want to make money off of that. And they never teach us how to market ourselves. We're evolving, nothing has changed. They adults and teachers still think that you need a degree to succeed in life. Honestly, you don't even really need a degree anymore. You just need to have the knowledge and the skills in order to apply it. And if you could do it better than someone with a degree, why wouldn't they hire the person without the degree if they know how to do it better? It just makes no sense. We're evolving, there's no point in focusing on what the old is. So many parents are closed-minded. They think that if you don't have a degree, like I said, you're just gonna fail in life. They call you a failure, they're insult you. I'm pretty sure a lot of kids, again, can agree with me. And then it puts you down. School also gives you so much stress. You get assigned so much homework, so much project, but what? You're not gonna care. You don't care for it at the end of the day, or you're gonna forget about it in a year. You think I care about Shakespeare? No. Some people may be into literature, and that's cool. You can study all you want for that. That's why we have Google for it. There's all kinds of things that you want to dive into it. But why are you forcing so many kids, to take those classes? And it just puts stress on them, especially depending on the teacher and the amount of work they give. It could just give them stress. Or, it might just be a useless class at all in general. And in some schools, if you need to take a class that, you need to fill up one, some of them actually require you to pay in high school. I watched a video on a guy who said he paid $20 because he was put into a class because he needed it, just to fill up his schedule, but he didn't want to take it. He paid $20, $40 for both semesters. There was no need. What? They're just making us take useless classes and, take our money pretty much in a sense. They don't even really care. Some teachers are just assholes, and they just think that they know it all. And you ask them with the question, Miss, what? How is this gonna apply to us in our, in our future, in our careers? And most of the time, they give you some bullshit answer. It's not even useful. I can't think of an answer top of my head, but it's not even reasonable. It's not even logical. It makes no sense to me. It's like math too. I'm sorry, but circumference and maybe some of them may be useful, or the simple division. Obviously we still use division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction, those PEMDAS, we use all that, it's common knowledge. But we start getting to logarithms or trig or calculus, it's you really don't fucking need it. And most statistics, in my opinion, because that's where a lot of graphs and everything come in and where it helps you. But it's basic. It's not like calculus where you're fucking determining A, B, C, D, E, F, all that, and you have to pinpoint a graph. No one really gives a shit. It depends on your career. But I can almost guarantee you that literally 95% of the people almost do not even care or ever gonna use that again until it's useless. It makes you stress out for nothing. And if you don't take those classes, then they make you feel dumb. It just causes so much stress and anxiety. And then when like some kids nowadays, sadly, our generation is like, they're less talkative, they're less out, like, you know, they don't talk much. And when the teacher calls them, like those certain people, like, you know, they don't want to talk, but they kind of force them. And if they don't talk, then they get either punished, you know, like they have to stay after class, or they have to have a talk, or just, you know, they deduct points from participation points. And I get that the teacher's intention is to open them up, but some kids just can't, you know. Why are they forcing this? And then it makes you feel bad, and then you can't even do it about it, because then you lost points. And, you know, it's like, well, I can't participate, you know, I physically can't or mentally can't, you know. That's just some kids. I understand, and I understand both views, but it's just wrong that they take points off of, like, you know, their grade. Why should that be the case? If they don't want to speak, then so be it. There are some people who are willing to speak. I usually spoke out, you know. I'm not that kind of person, you know. I talk, you know, when I need to talk, or if I feel like talking. That's not me. But for the people who can't, like, you know, have some sympathy for them, you know. That's just sadly how we're growing up as, and it's not easy for them. And then, like, once you finish high school, you get a fucking diploma, and that's pretty much useless. You just take it to go to college, yeah. And, like, okay, diploma's pretty useful, to be honest, but it's only to get you to college. But then what? Once you get to college, it's pretty much fucking theft. They take so much money from you, especially if you go to a 4-year. I know a lot of kids, like, they go to a 4-year, and most of the answer they get is they either want to leave their town, like, you know, they're tired of their city, or they want to experience the university life. That's understandable. But at what cost? Why are you gonna, like, you're gonna go in debt, maybe a couple grand, 10,000, maybe you don't even have any support at all, and you still decide to go and you work your entire 4 years trying to pay off school. You don't even gain almost anything for yourself. You're working your ass off just to maintain your grades, because if you go there, what's the point of going there just to, like, fuck up and be a retard? You know, you're gonna go there to study your shit off, but you gain nothing in the end. As for someone, if you go to community college, you know, you're there for 2 years. You need to do your GED anywhere you go. It doesn't matter. The first 2 years of college or university really don't matter. It's just useless. The third and fourth year, I understand. Third is where you start, like, actually focusing on your career. That's where you either transfer to somewhere, and that's where you start focusing on what you want to do. That's understandable, depending on the school you want to go to. UCLA, Cal Poly, USC, you know, those kind of schools, it's good. I'm not gonna lie, it's up to you. But for the first 2 years, you're spending like 40 to 30, like 30 to 40 grand, maybe even more, depending on the school. Pepperdine, like 60K or some shit, I don't know. But it's just not worth it, in my opinion. Of course, if you get a full ride and you don't really have to pay anything out of your pocket, and, you know, that's up to you. Go for it, by all means. But most kids, sadly, now, they just don't get the full rides. And they still want to go. And in my opinion, it's like, why? You're just going to go there and be in debt. You're going to have to go to sleep every night knowing you're going to have to be in debt. It's like, why, you know? I'm going to community college. I didn't even take the SAT. I did take the SAT, but I signed up for the second time, and I didn't even show up. Do I regret it? No. I didn't have to have that stress on me. I didn't study. I really didn't care. I just took it so I could please people, you know, my teachers, my parents. That's the only reason I went for it. Other than that, I don't care. I ended up going to community college. I just did it for backup in case. But I ended up going to community college. I'm getting paid thousands of dollars just to go to school. You know, it's understandable. Well, actually not understandable. You know, I'm getting paid due to my, you know, my situation and family and all that. Some of you may be getting paid a couple grand, not as much. But, you know, at least you don't have to pay, like, out of pocket, like 40, 30 grand. Like, kind of shit is that, you know? And I'm still getting the same education. And at the very end, I could probably spend less money and end up getting the same degree as you by transferring. And only spending, as much money those 2 years. You know, it's understandable. Blah, blah, blah. Maybe you do need to spend 40 grand for 2 years or less, you know. But at least I don't have to spend it, like, 2 more years. You know, it's just, at the end of the day, like, I, as a person who went to community college and someone who went straight to a 4-year, could probably end up having the same degree at the very end of it all, and I spent less, and I was happier more. And I was able to make some money for myself by not having to pay the school. Or the school gives me money pretty much to go, in a sense, you know, for textbooks, but, you know, I keep that all, you know, for a car or whatever, transportation fees. But that's just it. Like, it's a scam, and no one really realizes. That's why, like, there's so much debt in the world, especially, like, school debt is super high. And kids end up becoming depressed. They become robots. They start working that 9 to 5 just to pay it off. They don't get nothing for themselves. Like, that's so much happiness being, like, lost. Like, so many memories not being able to be made due to school. You know, it's just... And school isn't even really the way to go anymore. It's like, the school teaches you the traditional way. I remember going back to middle school and, like, seeing on a little glass, they had little figures of police, cops, same thing, cops, lawyers, firefighters, you know, teachers, doctors. Teachers don't even make jack shit. They make nothing. I feel bad for them. They, you know, they deserve so much more. But it's not their fault. Keep in mind, when a teacher assigns you so much work, don't blame them. Blame the system. You know, they're just following their rules. They're following what they need to do to get their money, make their living. You know, it's not their fault. Maybe some of them do go overboard by giving their, you know, like, so much work. But, you know, it just depends on teachers. Sometimes you do get some asshole teachers. But for the most part, it's not generally their fault. They're following guidelines that are have already been in place for 150, like, 100 years or whatever. And it's sad, I like thinking about it, like, logically, I actually bashed on some teachers, some of them were actually just nice, but it was just that they had to follow the school system, and that's what made me mad. I didn't see the school system, I saw the teachers, and what they presented with me, that's what I only saw. I was too close-minded at the time to see that it was the system. So some teachers are good, just realize that. And I'm sure a lot of you can agree. It's just dumb. We haven't learned anything, and now that we're changing, like, we live in a generation where we live with both generations, actually. We live with, the boomers, Gen Y, or whatever, and all that, and we're Z, We're young, we have different minds, and we're all growing older. A lot of us smoking weed. They still did smoke weed too and all that. I don't smoke, but like some other kids, or some other kids just have different ideas. Technology is more advanced than it was back then when they were going on. They still see the technology isn't that helpful, really, but we do. It's what gets us places. We're able to talk, text, put ourselves out there and all that. So there's two different ideas and philosophies. They think that it's useless, that it's just gonna brainwash you and not. So I think that the traditional way by going to school, getting a degree, and you're gonna get a job. But half of the time nowadays, getting a degree, you could still be fucking unemployed. As someone who literally didn't even go to college and having the knowledge at least of knowing what they did because they enjoyed doing it, they could probably have a higher chance of getting hired than you did with the fucking degree, who spent $40,000, like thousands of dollars or a degree, spending 4 years of his life. It's a joke. And then at the end of the day, you feel like you're fucking played. Now we're changing, we're evolving. We're supposed to adapt to the new occurrences. School kills creativity. Some people want to draw, like I said, they want to make a clothing line. School doesn't teach us how to do that shit at all. They just focus us on history, math, English, and those are traditional ways. Medical it just depends. It's just all depends on the person. But you shouldn't force everyone to take the same thing. Not everyone is the same. Everyone thinks alike. Not alike. I mean, we don't think alike. We all have our own wants and needs and our own things that we like and what we want to do in life. But we sadly don't get to do it because we're forced to take the traditional methods. And if you don't, then maybe some of your parents bash on you, then you feel bad and you're forced to take these things. And it shouldn't be like that, we're growing up. It's just we have two different ideologies and philosophies. They think that they know more because they lived it all. Yeah, they lived it all through their time. Our times are changing. We're growing older, but in a different way with technology, with different personalities. A lot of people get more anxiety than they ever did before. Like, anxiety was hardly as common as it is now. And they think that we're too much of a bitch, to talk out and I can't believe those kids have anxiety, media's brainwashing it. And to an extent, it is true. Media does make you feel like shit to an extent. But it's not just that. We're just changing, our peers influence us too, especially. Some of our peers nowadays are different back then. It just all depends. And then if you want to start a clothing line, they should be teaching us how to leverage media more. How we're able to make money off of it, how we're able to put ourselves out there, brand ourselves. That's what they should be teaching us nowadays, not fucking history. Why do I give a shit about Columbus? Now that I'm in college, I'm taking a history class, and I want to major in business. What the fuck is the point of me having to take a history class? What do I want to care about Columbus back then? Well, he fucked a goat. Cool. I don't care. A sheep, whatever. Why do I care what happened in 300 years ago? What is that going to affect me in the major? Well, I'm going to make a deal in business. Hey, did you know that Columbus fucked the sheep? Wow, so mind-blowing, so fucking helpful. And you have to pay, once you're in college, you have to pay to take those classes. Sadly, thankfully, I don't have to pay anything. But people do have to pay because it's a requirement for their major. But it's why does that have to be a requirement? What fucking reason does that have to do? College should just be us, now that we're adult, we're paying out of pocket to attend these classes. So it should be classes that we fucking need, not classes that we don't need. Some of us don't need reading, it doesn't matter. History, fuck, who cares? Some of us don't even care. We're forced to take humanities. Some of them, no, we're not going to pursue any of that. And it's still it seems like the belief is that they're still trying to open us to different things. But at this point in stage, at this stage in life, we're kind of supposed to already know, and it's okay if you don't know. Honestly, you have a lot of time, from 20 to 30. But after 30, it's kind of when it starts getting questionable. But, use your 20s, take as much opportunity as your 20s as you can, take a chance, whatever you can. It's okay if you don't feel like going to college. It's just irrelevant. Why do I need to take a history class? It's just so dumb. So many classes we don't even need to take anymore in college. We should be able to decide what we want to do. Just because of I understand that majors require it, but in business, what do you need history for? Especially about Columbus. Maybe if it was history about business and the economic, government economics. But once we reach once we reach to college, sometimes they don't even require us to take it. So what's the point of us spending money to take a class that we don't even really need? You know, we're gonna spend money on a class that they require us to take, and it's gonna be history. Who gives a shit about what happened up to the history in 1877? I know some of you like history and are majoring in it. I know a couple people, and that's good for you. That's your major. That's what you want to do. So it's understandable if they're gonna make you take it. Obviously, they're gonna make you take it. But I want to major in business. I don't need to know about Columbus. Like, I learned about Columbus my entire fucking life. I'm tired of hearing from him. Like, I don't care. Same goes to, like, different empires. That was cool back then. We learned about it. Now there's no need to learn about that, you know? It's just a waste of money. They want us to attend school, but they make us pay textbooks. Like, why? Just give in to us. There's no need. Just lend it to us and we'll lend it back. For the most part. You know, it should just be like in high school. If you lost it, you pay. If not, you probably, like, you know, you're in debt. And it might lead to, like, you know, not a crime, but, like, I mean, in a sense, a crime. It's kind of theft. You didn't, you know, give it back. Anyway, that's not the point. It's just they teach us so much useless stuff. Nothing has changed. You see cars, you know, we went from not even cars, you know, you would like the Wells Fargo logo. You would see them ride like in the cars, like not the car. You know, where they would sit down and the horses drive them pretty much. Like they take them places, you know. Now we have fucking Lamborghini stuff. That has evolved. The phone used to be on the wall only. We used to have pages only. Now we have a phone, like, you know, a portable phone that can search up almost anything instantly. Things have changed, things are evolving, but the school system has not evolved, and that's bad. They're teaching us the same ways and expecting us to learn the same things that they learned when they were younger. But things are changing, so it's like we're not getting up to date with the things we need to be up to date with. Communication skills are key. They should be teaching us how to talk, how to deal with depression, how to deal with bullies, and in a sense they do, but it's like, oh, don't bully. If you're bullied, you're bad. People don't give a shit. If someone is getting bullied and you tell an authority, the bullies are gonna get mad at you and they're gonna fucking come fuck you up some other time out of school somewhere. And you can't speak up regardless. You know, you're gonna feel like you're gonna get your ass beat, so you don't want to speak up. So in a sense, it's like teaching at school like is useless. You know, it's just dumb. Especially with depression and social anxiety, you know, you need maybe some problems, some certain situations that, you know, you should be able to deal with. They should be teaching us those kind of things. That's what we're kind of leading towards more to, especially social media, how to leverage it more, like I said before, how to pay your taxes, how to, you know, mortgages, down payments, credit score, loans, leases, all those kind of things, you know, tax files. Like, I don't fucking know the first thing in an I-9 file. It was so hard doing my FAFSA application. I had to go to a workshop for them to help me. If they had taught us that in school, hell, we wouldn't have to go there. It would save people time, money. We would need to go there at 7 in the fucking morning for someone to help us when we should know how to do it, you know? How to apply for a job properly and all that. There's classes for that, but they don't make it mandatory. That's the thing. And if it's not mandatory, kids nowadays aren't gonna gravitate towards it. They only want to do what they have to do and leave. A lot of us hate the school system. We're not gonna miss our time. Most of us, at least, are not going to invest our time in something that we don't need. If it's not mandatory, then we're not going to take it. But it should be mandatory. You know, how to learn how to do your taxes. You know, how to do a proper resume. Hell, even now, like, you don't really even need a resume that much. You know, like, contacts, networking is like, you know, that's how it works nowadays. Oh shit, excuse me. But that's the thing. They're not taking, like, us seriously, really. What the things we want to learn about, what we need to know, they're not taking seriously. They're still focusing on their old shit. And then they hit you with the excuse, oh, your parents need to teach you that. But why the fuck should they need to teach us that? And yeah, hell, some of them do know, but unfortunately, some families don't know. They don't know how to do their taxes. They have someone else do it for them. And it's like, if their parent can teach them, if their parent can teach them, who else is supposed to teach them? They don't fucking know. They're all on their own. They're clueless. They don't know what to do. See, that's a dumb response from teachers or just the education system in general. And then, goddamn. And unfortunately, maybe some of them do know how to do it, but they do it in a bad manner. So then it's like, if they want to teach you, it's going to be a bad influence, and you're going to learn it in the incorrect way. So it's just, this is something that schools should teach you. The certified people should teach you. You know, if they know how to do it, then they know how to do it. Those are the important things. I-9 files, how to deal with social anxiety, depression, you know, how to be able to conversate more better. A lot of kids' minds don't even know how to talk properly to one another. They text and they're afraid to talk in person, discuss their problems. So that's why it's also common that in relationships, you know, if you take your time, oh, you're doing it in a good manner. But if you rush too fast, that means you're doing it bad. No, it just depends on the pace of each person, you know. But society has made it seem that if you go at a fast pace, you're incorrect. It's not right. There's just so many flaws now in general. I also have like so many different philosophies about life and everything that it's just, you know, it should be common knowledge that we know all these things. And that's my take on the school system. We shouldn't have to do so much homework either, because it just gives us so much stress. And it's just gonna make us dislike school even more as time goes on, dislike the teachers even more, not even want to be there. They make it so that we don't want to be there, but they want us to be there. So it's like they don't cooperate with us. They don't correspond with what we want to do. So it's just two different views, and that's what needs to change. They need to be able to adapt to what we want to do. Thankfully soon, and not to be rude, but eventually the generation doesn't die out. We're gonna be the ones taking over, and that's when things will finally change, because we're gonna be the final decision makers of what we want to do. What sucks is that maybe some old people push their beliefs on us, and it's the people who they believe their beliefs, like the old people, they're going to continue to govern our society. And I hope not. I hope that people like me, maybe some of you who think the same way, that end up taking a different route and wanting to change the school system or just different things in general for the better. And that's what I hope. That's what I hope, that our society, that our generation will finally take over and change things. And especially if like the day we finally, like the times that we finally start changing things and taking over these matters, and like the old people retire or leave or whatever, society's gonna change fast. It's gonna change quick. We're gonna want to change this shit quick. We're gonna be tired of what their method was, and it's gonna change quick. There's gonna be one point in time where it's just gonna change drastically. Maybe market's gonna change, school is gonna change. How to drive, the test, everything. All those things are kind of gonna kind of change. Laws are gonna change, possibly, but it's just at one point it's gonna be like that. And it just sucks that at the end of this day, if you don't go to school, like if you're a dropout, like your families are really going to support you, especially if they're close-minded, which is most families nowadays. A lot of our families, especially my community, they came from over there, from Mexico, from South America, different places. So although they were more poor, and at that time they believed that if you got a degree, it was everything. You were set for life. You were golden. So that's their belief still. And their times are different. Their times of thinking were different. Now, I would say that most of us are more open-minded. We're not more open-minded, more creative. I'm not going to say it's incorrect the way they thought, but for their time, that's how they thought. And there's, it's wrong in a sense because it's different from ours. They don't try to understand. So a majority of parents don't try to understand. And if you want to drop out of college, or like if you just don't want to go to school anymore, you start complaining, you want to do homework, they put you down. They make you feel like what are you going to be in life? What are you going to do? You're lazy. You're not going to be anyone in life. And that makes you feel like shit. And then you start, and a lot of kids nowadays, they don't have a strong mentality. They're not confident with something, and they start feeding into it. They're like, wow, maybe I am retarded. Maybe I'm dumb. And then they never start wanting to experiment. They never risk. They feel like the best, safest way is to get a degree. And even then, it might not be the safest way, because you might just end up being unemployed after spending 4 years, thousands of dollars, or like hundreds of hours of time. It could just be a waste, and no one ever takes those risks. And when you do take risks, it's like some people damn, he's not being smart about the way he wants to do things. But it's the way that society has made it that way. It sucks. And especially, let's say, hard work. If you hard work, you earn your money through hard work. People define hard work a majority of people, as physical, labor. I work at a grocery market, and I do work hard. I bring the carts in, I clean literal shit from the restrooms and whatnot. And other friends can say the same, I do earn my money. But society has made it to where, if let's say you start a clothing company, and it's really easy to not do anything physically demanding. They're like, wow, it's really easy. He has it easy. Nothing like what we do. But we don't have those people, because we decided to be smart about the way we want to go about making our money. I do not want to work a 9-to-5 job for the rest of my life. That's just not my thing. You should be creative about what you want to do. Take those risks in life. If you don't take those risks, you're never going to get anywhere. You're settling for the medium, the standard. You should be, want to do something more. Think about it. You want to do something. You're tired of what, maybe your parents, you don't want to do what your parents do. Maybe they're forcing you to, but you don't want to do it. Maybe you're tired of seeing other people do the same thing for the past 100 years and you want to do something about your own. Maybe you want to make video games. That's common. That's still common. It's a common thing. But there's different ways to go about it nowadays. That's something creative. Most parents or teachers don't talk about making games. They think of it as a joke. They don't take it seriously. You want to be an artist, a writer, some of those things are still in place, but they're kind of fairly recent. And all those adults back then, of our time, adults now of our time, they don't believe in those things. They believe you should still be a teacher, a doctor, especially for other countries like Asia or the Philippines. They expect you to be a doctor, and if you're not, you're a failure in their eyes. Or if you don't get straight A's, you're a failure in their eyes. That shouldn't be the fucking norm. You get me? Go out and do what the fuck you want to do. But I want you to know also that failure, it's inevitable. You're going to run into failure regardless. The risk, no matter what you take, no matter what you do, you're going to run into failure. And that's just common. That's just a thing. A lot of people are scared of failure. A lot of people want to settle with what's the safest route? What's the safest route? You're going to end up with the same thing that everyone else does, because everybody else took the same way. If you don't put yourself out there, if you don't risk yourself out there, you're not going to get high rewards. And even if let's say you do risk it and you fail, At least you know you tried. Failure, it teaches you lessons. You learn, you adapt to it. I want to hope you adapt to it. You learn lessons. It makes you a stronger person in the end. Let's hope it does. But then that's the opposite. A lot of people feel like after failure, they feel like they're not going to be anything, and it puts them down. And that's the view on it. If you fail, a lot of people who fail, they feel like it just didn't work for them, But they just didn't try again. You got to try and try again. If it's something you really want, and if you fail once, so what? A lot of people did the same shit. A lot of people are dropouts. A lot of people failed. Look at Steve Jobs. He failed making multiple computers, laptops, different merchandise. But in the end, he still made it. He tried and tried and tried. That's a perfect example. There's so many other examples. So you need to be able to do what you want to do. Even if your parents don't agree with it, you have to go for it yourself. Your parents don't agree with it. That's how you do make it at the end of the day. You're able to prove them wrong. Maybe you don't care about proving them wrong, but at the end of the day, you get the satisfaction that you're doing what you want to do. You're not working the traditional bullshit that everyone else is working. You didn't go to school for 4 years, wasting 4 years of your life. Those 4 years could be better invested in doing what you want to do, perfecting what you want to do at the end of your overall life. What you find fun, drawing, playing video games, playing a sport. And I understand that. I've watched documentaries on sports too, the NCAA. It's hard to get in, dude. I don't blame you, but it's not impossible. You can make it if you want to make it. You just got to put the hard effort and time. I know sometimes there's some circumstances and situations where you pour your heart and your soul and your tears and everything, and you don't get it at the end of the day. You look for other ways. There's always other ways, man. Different connections. You never know. Maybe one day you pass someone on the street that you don't even know, and you hit it off, and maybe he's someone who knows people. It all depends. You just got to put yourself out there. Be out there. But a lot of kids and people now, nowadays are afraid to do that. They're afraid to put themselves out there. And that's the standard nowadays. And I feel bad that it's like that, People should open up their minds more. Be yourself. Don't be afraid. Don't give a fuck about what other people think. At the end of the day, if you succeed, who's going to be the one making money? Who's going to be the one with a positive, better mindset? You. And those people, let's say they don't change. They're going to have that same negative view. They're not going to be really happy with what they want to do. People sometimes just hate to hate, or people just sometimes hate that they're working their job so hard and making their money, but you're not doing as hard physical work. Doesn't mean anything else. Maybe you're writing a lot of papers. Maybe you're you're pouring your time into thinking about how you want to grow your plan. That's hard work too. But people just define the norm of hard work as physical labor. Maybe they're just mad that you're making so much more money than them by doing so much less physically. That's true, and a lot of people hate on that. That's pretty much my view. I kind of got off topic, but it still applies to the school system, the traditional ways, the traditional methods. It shouldn't be like that anymore. Times are changing. We should change, especially as we grow older. We should be making a lot of more changes, especially for ourselves and for others. I do have more views about relationships, but I just kind of want to make this video, briefly, to touch upon the school system and traditional ways. It needs to change, did you know? I've always had this, and I've always wanted to speak about it because it's something I want to do in the future. I want to speak on these kind of topics, help people. Even a change, a spark of curiosity or change in the mind is a win for me. That's what I see as a win. And maybe it could be like a snowball, a little snowflake, or it could come down, and it could be a thought, and it gets you thinking, what if I did this, or if I did that? It starts rolling, building up. Thoughts change. Thoughts are gonna build up. Curiosity needs to be more relevant nowadays. It can't just be the safe traditional method. You're not gonna get anywhere. You're settling for the medium. Put yourself after. Put yourself out there. High risk, high rewards. Maybe it's a high risk and you get low rewards, but you got to put yourself out there. Failure is inevitable. Like I said, you just got to push and push and push and push. Don't think just because you failed once it's not for you. Keep pushing, especially if it's what you want to do. Everybody has a passion inside of him, I believe. Maybe you don't know what your passion is. That's it. Life, you go on, you live and you learn. You may not have the answer. No one may have the answers to you. You may never find the answer, and sadly, it's like that for some people. Maybe they were just brought up in the wrong way, and they were never shown the different kinds of possibilities. They were just shown the normal history, science, boring, same old math, English shit, Shakespeare. I don't give a fuck about. Maybe they were just shown that, and they were never able to learn about anything else. Or maybe it's a bookworm who was only invested into getting perfect A's, and they've never had time for themselves. Or, go hang out with friends. So then when they're out of college, it's like, what do I do for fun? What do I do? What if, my career, my degrees doesn't even help me in the end? They're stuck because they have no idea what else to do. They don't know what to do for fun. They don't know what they want to do for themselves. And it sucks that some people are raised that way. And it's just, it needs to change. I know I talked a lot about the same thing, but it's kind of in different ways, if you get me. But that's just my views on all of this. Thank you. If you watched through all of this, I'm going to be editing it. I won't take long. But you know, it's still, I'm glad I'm able to talk about this finally. It's finally on my mind now that I'm in college. I'm getting tired of it. It's dumb, you know. Thank you to all who watched this. I hope, you know, you give me some feedback, if anything. Maybe give me some of your own views. I'm more than happy to talk about this and what you think on the school system, or just different traditional jobs and beliefs, and like the way they set us up in a sense for failure. They don't teach us the important things we need to know. Oh, and also another thing, like we say we forget, right? About a lot of topics. You know, oh, we're gonna forget tomorrow. And some teachers say, well, what's the point of teaching you how to do tax or how to mortgage, you know, credit score and all that if you're gonna forget? But that's the thing. We're able to relate to tax because our parents do. It's something we need to do in the future. We're gonna have to do it. Sadly, that's the way it is. We're gonna have to do it as far as I know. I can't predict the future, but as far as I know, we're still gonna have to do tax, obviously. You know, if you want to buy a house, mortgage, you know, car, lease or whatnot. Those are things we need to know. That's the things we need to know. We're not gonna forget them because we're gonna have to do them later in the future. And our parents can, like, we can relate to our parents, and that must be a nice way to bond, even though it's not like emotionally. It's just something we're able to bond with. You know, it's something. I guess just conversations, talking. As we're fucking history, they probably don't even know much about history either because they forgot. Exactly. Did it ever help them in their lives? No. My uncle works in printers and copies, you know, technology. Technology. What the fuck is Columbus gonna help him? What are the Mongols gonna do for a fucking printer? Nothing. That's just the thing, you know. So we need to learn these things. Maybe you can show this to a teacher. I probably not to a teacher, but you know, someone maybe, and see what they think. You know, maybe a big stretch. But I'm probably gonna post this on YouTube as well. Just a quick video. You know, see how it does and what other people think. But thank you to all who watched this. This is kind of long, so I don't blame you. I'm averaging it around 28 minutes around there. I spoke a lot, so thank you if you watched through this all. I appreciate you, and I hope you do have the same thoughts as me, and if not the same thoughts, then at least in a different way, but just for the better going into the future. Thank you. My name is David Vargas, and nice to meet you all. Nice to meet you all, but thank you for watching this. Thank you.